Hello and welcome to JamHammer. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the next few deliveries of the Imperium Magazine Series that I received from Hachette Partworks. I'll be reviewing their contents, as well as seeing how much of a saving we're getting with these issues, as opposed to buying the included models and accessories at retail prices. So it finally happened. Issues 5 and 6 have arrived, which means we're getting to see the sprue of the unique Captain sculpt that we can only get through this magazine collection. We've been waiting ages for this, so let's get straight into unwrapping this issue and see what we've got. There's an included insert with issue 5 here as well, with some information and lore on the dynastic structure of the Necrons, as well as info on their war against the Imperial forces and a great showcase of some of the minis available for their army. As expected on the front cover, we have that captain front and centre. Opening it up, and we're given some insight into the various accessories and decorations that are dotted all over this miniature, as well as their significance. We have some more lore, this time surrounding melee weaponry, more info about the war and the sector, and even a little bit of a narrative piece for extra flavour. The hobbying section of the magazine is dedicated to assembling and painting the captain. As this is so early in the collection, there's not much painting covered besides the blue base coat and a coat of gunmetal on the weaponry. A skirmish is also included, with the close combat skills of the captain put to the test against the monstrous Necron Scorpec destroyers. Putting this magazine aside now, and let's get a closer look at what we've got on the sprue. Loads of detail here, with plenty of adornments to really make this mini pop on the tabletop. There's a little bit of basing included on the leg there to add some extra detailing, and that long swooping cloak looks fantastic. Good to see that there's no chapter specific embossing on the mini too, so we can use this captain in any of our Space Marine forces. This is a monopose miniature though, so no variety in appearance or weaponry here. It's a bit difficult to price this mini accurately, as we can't buy it outright from the Games Workshop web store, but if we look at the comparable price of a Primaris captain, we can see that they retail for £22.50. These are quite similar, with a mastercrafted power sword, cloak, iron halo, etc, but the retail captain comes with a bolt rifle, as well as assembly options for a helmeted or bare head, as well as a sword wielding arm or one that's pointing. We can also see there's an optional scope and drum magazine for the bolt weapon too. But if we take that £22.50 and then take away the cover cost of this issue, £8.99, we get a great saving of £13.51. Converting that into dollars if you live in the USA, and at the time of making this video, the retail captain would be $30.11, minus the cost of the issue at $12.03, making this a saving of $18.08. Off to a great start then. Before we move on to the next issue, it looks like the first free gift we were supposed to receive ages ago has finally turned up. So this is the Citadel modelling kit that was due to arrive with our second delivery as part of subscribing to the Imperium Magazine, but it was unfortunately delayed twice. We've got a few useful looking items here, particularly if you're new to the hobby, with a bottle of Citadel plastic glue, a tiny piece of metal that is used for scraping flash from our minis, as well as a little pair of side cutters for removing the components from their sprues. Emphasis on little here, as these cutters are about 2/3 the size of the ones that I tend to use, which makes them a bit tricky to manoeuvre. But let's take these for a quick test run. Got a spare sprue lying around here with some components left over from the Victorious Kill Team box set. Grabbing the side cutters, and they can't get through here, but no surprises as it is a large piece at an awkward angle. Using them on these smaller areas around the actual component though, and they go through with ease. Taking off these extra bits of sprue now, and the cutters are quite accurate as they come to a sharp point, but still leaving a bit of excess plastic behind. Over to the mold line remover then, and this is super small and fiddly to use. I can barely get any purchase on this. It's quite nice that there's a rounded edge for going around curves, but overall this is very frustrating, and although it will take away flash like this, it's really struggling with any larger bits of sprue that are left on the Mini. Plastic glue now. Not sure how to get into this actually. Oh. I assume this pulls off then. That is going nowhere. After struggling with this for 5 minutes, I took to the internet to see how to actually get into it. Apparently the cap does pull off, so let's do this thing. Finally! Looks like glue has leaked from here and caused this to seal shut. Yeah, that comes away much easier. Although now I can't get any glue to come out of it. Try again. Really squeezing here, but still nothing. I'm guessing this is clogged with dry glue too, so I might have to soak this in some solvent, but at the moment, this is unusable. Overall, I wouldn't pay any more than nothing for these. As a set that's supposed to help people into the hobby, this is a massive failure. All of the included items are difficult to use, with the clippers being the only thing I would use as sort of a temporary solution when my current ones eventually break, but they're very small and difficult to use. Looking on the store, and the only clippers I could find from Citadel looked much better, but were over £20. And the mold line remover actually comes with a handle, which could make it more useful, as it's impossible to use as is, and I'll definitely be sticking with the back of my scalpel instead. Still no idea how well that glue holds, but for £4.50, I'll be opting for alternatives. Anywho, cracking on with issue 6, and this is looking much more promising with a bumper haul of included items. No surprise that this and issue 5 went out of stock for so long. Some damage on the magazine unfortunately, but we can still see the aggressors advancing and laying down gouts of fire on the cover. Opening up, and we're introduced to the minis in this issue, as well as more info on the Necron nobility. Some instructions on how to assemble the aggressors next, and then again some rudimentary painting instructions applying a blue base coat, gunmetal weapons, as well as our first application of a bad and black on these and the previous minis from the collection. We've got a skirmish featuring our new Primaris facing down the Scorpack again, with some guidance on how rapid fire works, with the Royal Warden's Relic Gauss Blaster being used as the example. Onto the sprues, and we've got plenty packed in here, with bits of basing included as well to cover up the holes in the bases. These appear to be monopose as well though, as I can only see the Flamestorm gauntlets on here, meaning that unfortunately, we don't have the option to equip these with Boltstorm gauntlets and a Fragstorm grenade launcher. I'm not really sure where these sprues have come from, as they weren't included with the Indomitus box like a lot of the sprues in this Imperium series. And then we have their bases, as well as a pot of a bad and black. Over to the web store then, and the aggressors retail for a whopping £30. However, looking at the pictures of the minis and the sprues, as well as the description at the bottom, these do include the components for those other weapons. With such a slow unit and no option to deep strike like Terminators, I would prefer to arm these with the long range options to ensure some use out of them before they're blasted off the table. The paint also retails for £2.75, so £32.75 in total, minus the cover cost of £8.99, brings our total savings for this issue to £23.76, so I'll make peace with those limited assembly options. And in the US, that would make this a saving of $31.82. Brill. So we're now up to date with the collection thus far, with all the missing free gifts and issues accounted for. On to the next delivery then, and we've got issues 19 to 22 to unwrap. Issue 19 looks to be our final bit of terrain for that Munitorum set. Opening this up, and the first thing we have is some more narrative, as well as lore on the Reclusium, the Necron Awakening, and then onto how to assemble the armoured containers. Again. Got some more instructions on how to paint these, with a few different colours used, as well as using some more painting techniques like dry brushing. Onto the skirmish, and we have another one featuring our captain, and some info on how to use grenades and blast weapons. We then have another snippet about the upcoming battle mat and new war zone featuring the AdMech. Onto the sprue, and yep, same as the ones from the previous Imperium video I released. Big chunky container with a few barrels and boxes for scatter terrain. Quick look at the web store, and 1/3 of this set that we have in this issue would make this around £10.83 or $14.49 American, making this a modest saving of £1.84 or $2.46. Issue 20 next, and this could be our first loss here. I'm only seeing 2 pots of paint inside the sleeve. Very cool image of the Emperor though. Inside then, and some info on the poster boys, and more lore on Necron Tomb Worlds, as well as the Golden Throne. Oh, and look, the Custodes, the army of choice for our one true Emperor. We've got a bit of info on how to use the included paints, and doesn't look like they're used for much. Just a bit on our hero's weaponry, and watered down to create a rust effect on those armoured containers. We get introduced to reanimation protocols for our Necrons, as well as multi-wound models and another rules reference. We got one of these with the last delivery, but they do seem to have been updated with a few new rules, so always useful to have to hand for quickly referring back to. And another battle featuring these new rules in action. Having a look at what's included here, and we have Khorne Red, as well as Troll Slayer Orange, which is traffic cone bright. On the web store, these retail for £2.75 each, for a total of £5.50, meaning that we are at a loss here of £3.49. In the USA, we'll be looking at a total of $7.70 and a loss of $4.67. Bit disappointed with this, as the red will likely be useful, but I'm not seeing much use for that orange, besides creating a rust effect. With so many savings to date though, we can expect to make a loss on a few of these issues, and we'll still be very much saving a lot in total over the run of the series. Let's see what issue 21 brings to the table then. And it looks like some completely new models with our first AdMech. And a few inserts too. The first one is another large fold-out looking at the Pariah Nexus and an overview of the war zone, as well as the Imperial forces involved with the Indomitus Crusade. The other is the battle mat we should have received with the previous delivery. Double-sided again, with a great detail print on thick, glossy card paper, which should be good for a few games. I also noticed after recording that the reverse size matches the battle mat from issue 1, so we can put these together and it makes a combat patrol or incursion size table. Onto the magazine, we have a Skitarii Ranger Alpha on the cover. Inside, we're introduced to these minis and their weapon options, naming conventions, and some background lore on the Adeptus Mechanicus, plus more narrative too. We have instructions here on how to build these as Rangers, covering all of the included special weapon options for this unit. More rules next with how to use shields and vulnerable saves, as well as Necron equipment and special rules. This is followed up by another mission putting these into practice. The included sprue looks to feature some of those special weapons, with the arc rifle and plasma culvert here, as well as plenty of Ranger and Vanguard head options, plus their respective stand-to issue weapons, galvanic rifles, and radium carbines. Although the instructions were leading us to build these Skitarii as Rangers, it does look like we have the option to make them a Vanguard unit instead then. Not seeing any bases though, so hopefully those are to come next. Turning to the web store, and the full box of these retails at £27, so for simplicity, we'll cut this in half and call it $13.50, making this issue a nice saving of £4.51. In the US, that would be about $18.08 and a saving of $6.04. Final issue now for this delivery, number 22, and as expected, we do look to have the rest of the Skitarii unit here. Oh, and the bases are all here too, plus that large oval base for the Transuronic Aquabus. Opening up this issue, and we're straight into the lore this time on fleets and the Sautek dynasty, plus another narrative section for the AdMech. No assembly instructions this time, as they were all in the previous issue, and instead we're going through how to paint our Skitarii. Looks like that corn red will be more useful than I anticipated. We've then got a datasheet here, but only for these as Rangers. And our first skirmish featuring these units, plus the introduction of how morale works in 40k. Let's take a closer look at the large sprue included here. Something just caught my eye actually. There are only 9 25mm bases here, so you pretty much have to assemble one of these with the Arquabus, unless you have a spare base knocking around. Anywho, loads more customization options, with plenty of head choices, different weapons, the data tether and omnispecs, as well as pistols for the alpha. Looking at the web store, and it looks like these are the same sprues, which is fantastic to see, as we have loads of options on how to put these together, and we can customize them how we see fit. The only downside being that if we want to have them as a Vanguard unit, we'll have to guess at how to assemble them. So, same as before here, with a saving of £4.51 or $6.04. Totaling up how much these sprues and accessories cost, if you to buy them directly from Games Workshop, then it would cost you £99.08, or converted into dollars, $132.61. I spent £53.94 on these 2 deliveries, which means a saving of £45.14p, or $60.42. Not quite as good as our last haul, which was better than half price, but still a massive saving, and that's even with an issue that cost us more than we saved. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider liking it, subscribing to the channel, and clicking the bell to be notified of new videos being released. I'll be honest here, I was pretty disappointed initially at the inclusion of AdMech, as it meant having to pay for another army, especially it doesn't look like there's going to be enough for even a combat patrol with what's included in the Imperium collection. But I absolutely fell in love with these models. The industrial grimdark aesthetic mixed with weaponry inspired by the 15th century just works for me, and I'm thrilled that these are the retail minis, as I'll be taking these and creating them into a hunter clade for use in Kill Team. There'll be more videos about this Warhammer 40k Partworks series being released as soon as the next delivery arrives, so please do keep an eye out for more Imperium content coming soon to JamHammer. In the meantime, there are plenty of other videos available on the channel, including a few that are on screen now for you to click on. Thanks again for watching.